I'm joined by Dr. Dinah Richard. Thank you so much for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Gladly, Ryan. As you indicated, I have a doctorate, and it is in the field of communication with a concentration in rhetoric, Southern oratory, and public address.
We have a lot of lenses in the rhetorical discipline. I wonder what are some of your favorite lenses and what lenses really call or speak to you?
The neo-Aristotelian approach. Back in the 1970s, neo-Aristotelian criticism was the universal methodology. I can get excited about it because it talks about available means of persuasion, such as ethos, pathos, logos. And you don't have to address all of these. You could zoom in on the character, the credibility, and from the critic's perspective, how is that being effective? This has its limitations. It won't work for certain artifacts or certain designs. And for that reason, it's important to look at some of the other theories, such as Kenneth Burke. Kenneth Burke didn't just propose dramatism or pentattic criticism. He offered cluster criticism. There's generic criticism. There's metaphor criticism. There's ideological criticism. And we take the broad category of ideological criticism and we can move down to feminist criticism. In fact, my master's thesis, I did a rhetorical analysis of some suffrage speeches that were given in Louisiana. I did it neo-Aristotelian, but now a better approach would have been feminist criticism. My doctorate in Southern oratory, analyzing specific speeches, it could have been done more effectively with other methodologies. So we have a wide array of approaches from which we can choose, but it's important to become familiar with all of them.
I love Aristotle's definition of rhetoric, which I believe is one of the best definitions we have of communication. The faculty of finding the available means of persuasion in a given situation. It has everything. It has situation, it has context, it has available means. We can break down that definition and apply it to so many communication contexts. I love it. What can rhetoric teach us? What tools can we take from rhetoric to better bridge those differences in American culture, to talk to people who have different views than us, to reach across the aisle, to have conversations with our colleagues and peers that are meaningful and that help us to create a better tomorrow?
First, let's look at the word rhetoric. People think of it as shyster, think of it as a bunch of worthless speech in order to manipulate audiences, and it can be abused that way. In fact, if you go back to ancient Greece, the first people who created the study of rhetoric were the sophists, and some of them used it for manipulation, hence the word sophistry. So we have this ability as communicators to use it for good or to use it for evil. What is our heart? Is it going to be sophistry? Is it going to be deception? So first, a self-examination, so that when we take these tools, when we take these principles, we have what Aristotle would call the goodwill toward other people.
So what you're saying is goodwill is the bedrock of creating that kind of mutual trust.
Yes.
You are retiring, and as you begin this next journey, I know you have some wisdom to share with our students.
Are you good at this field? Do you love this field? Can you make a living at it? And I'm going to add a fourth one. Are you called to it? Where you say, this is my calling, this is my passion. And when you have yes as the answer to all of those, nothing is going to stop you. I really want people to know that our field is probably the most important for shaping lives. First of all, because it has a historical past, a strong presence, and a great future. Secondly, our field is teachable. It is learnable. Just open up your mind and your hearts, and you will thrive. Finally, use this field for good. Help it to bridge the connections that are so needed between people.
Sage advice.